We go for it? Oh, yeah? You ready for me? Am I actually connected to a speaker?
You're connected to my...
Oh, that's just for the recording. Okay.
So you will have to speak up.
Okay, so
Yeah.
I do have to have some voice for the people in here. But cool. Well, this is a little presentation. It probably is only 10 minutes, and then most of the time just to answer any questions you have or just chat about Interim program and the future of Interim at Fountain Valley. So let's kick it off with just some basics. So what is Interim? Sort of one of Fountain Valley's flagship programs. One of my favorite parts of working here. It's just a week where we get out of the classroom and learn by doing, and travel and experience all sorts of different activities and adventures with faculty, and I think it's a great time to also just bond with a small group of students and do something different. So that is Interim. It's been going on for 51 years at Fountain Valley, and pretty honored to be heading it up. Some goals of Interim: expand students' geographical, intellectual, cultural, and social horizons beyond the classroom. Of course, we could get deep into each of those. Immerse in hands-on learning experiences that capitalize upon the diverse talents and interests of the faculty. So really, and we'll talk about this on another slide, but really these trips are created by the faculty, which I think just gives the faculty their passions and something that they really are excited about, which bleeds into the kids and creates new passions for the kids, students as well. Obviously, here are our core values. And I think Interim is a program that hits on all of these really, really nicely. So we're accomplishing our school goals at the same time. Experiences gained and friendship forged on Interim provide some of the fondest memories students carry with them at Fountain Valley, from Fountain Valley, and many have the seeds of future careers. And so when alumni come back, this is a program that they continue to talk about, whether they were getting snowed on in Utah and their backpacking trip or scuba diving or whatever it was. It's something that they definitely take with them and remember. It's just a little bit of research as I've got started working at this Director of Experiential Education role, just sort of doing some research on students' attention, and feel like there's a lot of connections to what we do on Interim to how we can help students with our attention focus and things that sometimes get taken away with the iPhone and the internet and everything handed to us and all of this stuff. So this is just a little note that I put on the Interim brochure and that I also shared with students. This is just a sort of abbreviated version, but to seek awe is really healthy for us, adults and students alike. And it makes us feel small when we feel like we're part of a bigger world, and it helps us become better community members and more sharing. And I think that's something that that's heavily related to Interim, and finding awe in all these wonderful places. It's easier to find awe in new places, and so that's something that Interim provides. Grit and power of accomplishment, especially some of these outdoor trips, adventurous trips that push our students' boundaries physically, but also in terms of thinking about the world in a different way. I think it teaches grit and accomplishment. And then we're not always going to have our phones away during Interim, but we'll be on our phones less, and I think that really helps with the connection with each other and with the faculty on the trips. And I think that's part of the reason why those connections are so strong and deep from Interim, is because you're disconnected from everything else that's keeping your attention during the rest of your life. So just some points that I've been thinking about. So how do trips get chosen? It really goes all the way back to April of last year that the faculty start thinking about what experiences they want to potentially lead. And so they propose these experiences, not necessarily, I want to do this, and I want to bring kids here, but I think this would be great for the school, whether I'm the leader or not. And we have this huge pool of interesting trips and experiences that we can, the Interim committee, we have a committee of, I think, 8 of us, that get together and we sort of choose that path forward and try to balance different types of trips, cultural trips, language immersion trips, outdoor adventures, and try to get a mix of costs as well. Here's just some of the connections between the type of experiences that we're offering and some of the core values that we find a strong connection with. And so not all of the trips are going to do all of our core values, but this is just an example of an adventure trip might work on students' courage and self-reliance. And each of them sort of hit on something different. And one of the goals as interims continue to evolve is that students will sort of hit a variety by the time they graduate. If anyone's curious about the freshman interim, I've heard some feedback that students are sharing certain things with their parents, but not really the full picture of the freshman experience. So I'd like to share just a little bit about the freshman trips and experiences that they're going to have, which I'm really, really excited about, and I hope that they are too. We're calling it the FES experience. It's basically our freshmen are just going to do everything for a week. Everything that we want them to do that they might find a passion. And so that's sort of the goal, is that every freshman is going to ride a mountain bike during interim. Every freshman is going to get on the climbing wall during interim. Every freshman is going to go on a hiking trip during interim. Every freshman is going to go ranching and get on a horse. And so they do that right off the bat when they're first year here. And then, if they're presented with an opportunity in any of those realms as they get older, they've already have some connection to that thing and maybe a new passion. So that's kind of the idea. So those are rotating groups where one day they're going to have their mountain biking day and they're going to check out the prairie and they're going to get on Blue Stem right across from campus. And then there's going to be evening programming here. They're going to make team shirts and they're going to create things together here on campus. There's going to be some metalsmithing involved probably, and just get them to experience all these little things that we love about Colorado and Fountain Valley. And then they're going to go to the sand dunes, they're going to hike, they're going to camp. So every freshman is going to have a camping experience overnight, and then they're going to go to the mountain campus and sort of like a lot of our mountain campus retreats, they have 2 days there. They're going to, the idea is that our seniors, right before they graduate, have a week at the mountain campus and give back to the community there and do some trail work and stuff like that. So we're kind of bookending that, and the freshmen are going to start their careers doing a day of service up in the mountains, and then, of course, celebrate and go to the hot springs. So I think it's going to be an awesome experience for freshmen, so maybe a little bit more detail than your freshman may have given you at home. Here are our interims for this year, for 10th through 12th grade. Really excited about this list. I think our faculty are too. I've heard a lot of them say, I don't even know which one I would want to go on, but they're all assigned. So it's going to be really great. But a couple things to note here. This is a brand new program for us that Tori Davey is running. Her sister lives in Tanzania. She's got a lot of connections there. It's our first foray into an extended interim. So there's going to be a 12-day experience in Tanzania. It's a really long flight to get out there, and it's worth it to stick around for a couple of days into spring break. And hopefully, if that's as successful as we think it's going to be, then that might be something that continues in the future. That some of the experiences can go a little bit longer if they're further away. So we're not being as strict as we have been in the past about getting back on that Friday, the 15th of March. And a couple of these international trips do leave on planning day, Friday the 8th. So A couple things to note, all of that information is in the brochure as well. Let's see, anything else of note here? I don't think so. I better not run out of batteries during the presentation. Here's just a map of the locations that our interims are going to this year. So interims are a cost to an added cost for families, and we understand that. These are all the things that are included in that price: all the food, all the transportation, rental cars, Airbnbs, campgrounds, whatever it is for staying, all the equipment. And most of our trips do have third-party guides that are excellent, a lot of whom we've been working with for a long time. So all of that is included in the cost. And then some of the things not included in the cost, just so you're aware, if there's any visas or passport requirements, immunizations, any souvenirs, and equipment, personal clothing and stuff like that that students will need to stay warm in the canyon. Or if a student is leaving from that location, y'all can work with me about organizing that. But if the cost in the trip is included to get back to Fountain Valley. But if that were not to be your decision, then that would be an added cost. So we're in the middle of our signups, just opened up to juniors. So I'm getting emails and emails. Well, I just have it set up that way so I can see every time somebody signs up, so I can be on top of it. But seniors have finished signing up. Juniors start today. They have 4 days. And so on Tuesday, we'll solidify those junior placements and assignments, and then give me a couple days to figure that out before we send out to sophomores, and then a couple days to just get everything in order before we share everything with you all and with students on November 6th. Yeah, of course.
For juniors, so does it matter if we sign up today versus Tuesday?
No, so it makes no difference. No, no, it's not a first come, first serve. There is, and I think maybe on the next slide here, I can talk about it now. There is sort of a system of actually, I'll wait till the slide because I think I probably word it much better on the slide than I thought about it a little bit more. Just one note on here, or a couple notes: freshmen don't need to sign up because they're all doing the same experience, which I think is also helpful emotionally for freshmen to not say, oh, they're doing this and I get to do this. Everybody's going to have the same experience. And it's like that apple, it's 0%, lasts a while, right? It should be fine. This year is going to be a little different in terms of charges. So that's going to be billed twice, half and half, rather than once. That's been in the past, December 1st. So 2 charges, December and January, half and half. If anybody wants a different payment plan, the business office is open to meeting your needs. Okay, this is the slide. Okay, how are students selected for the trips? Based on prerequisites, you know, if they need to be in a language class, so we take a look at all of that. Seniors choose first, and then juniors and sophomores, and so there's a bit of a hierarchy in that, and semesters at Fountain Valley is taken into account. We also look at the choices, whether they got their first, second, third, or I don't think I've ever seen it, fourth choice the previous year. We take that into consideration as well. Most students are getting their first or second choices. And we try to balance the trips for gender, nationality, interpersonal concerns. And these meetings is not just me. It's Dean's office. It's Wellness Center. Virginia's in there, and Dave and Erica, and we talked to Jen Grubb, and so a lot of eyes see these rosters, and so we really put a lot of thought and time into it. just some important dates for this year. Planning day, Friday, March 8th. Some interims leave on that day. And then you can expect your students to be ready for pickup by midnight, Friday, March 15th, hopefully before. I'm looking at flights that for my scuba that get back pretty late that night, but that is the goal. Of course, we talked about the Tanzania trip in Singapore, I think, that get in a little bit late, and all that stuff is noted on the brochure as well. Great quote from Anthony Bourdain: "Travel isn't always pretty. It isn't always comfortable. Sometimes it hurts. It even breaks your heart. But that's okay. The journey changes you. It should change you. It leaves marks on your memory, on your consciousness, on your heart, and on your body." So that's our goal for the students, to have that change in themselves. Okay? And that's it for the formal presentation, but I'd be happy to answer any questions that you all have. What's on your mind? Of course I couldn't.
For the freshman trip?
Great question. Unclear. In the past, we'll know soon. The goal is probably next week to know. So with this whole new freshman program, of course, there's costs involved with all these activities that we want to prepare for the students, and hiring guides and stuff like that. So there is a cost, of course, to the trip, and the goal is to have it not be a charge for the future, but changing in the first year. In the past, as long as I've been involved in Interim, it's been about $650 for a freshman. And as a goal of not charging, we definitely are going to get that down as low as we can, but I'm not sure if it's going to be zero. Yeah.
Roughly how many times do they meet before interim?
Four meetings before Interim, 45 minutes each. And those are going to look a lot different, but I give guidance for curricular pieces, but each experience is sort of going to look different in terms of, are we learning how to set up tents and pack a backpack, or are we getting prepared to learn about the culture of the place, or whatever it is. Yeah.
I may have missed it, but how large are each group? Have the sizes changed?
Yeah, good question. Almost all of the groups should be 12 students, 2 faculty. Some have a third faculty member, and then some trips based on permitting have fewer. So I know the Utah backpacking trip, which I've done twice and is my favorite, is you can only bring 9 in with the permits. Also, our student body is slightly smaller than it has been in the past, so some of these trips might dwindle down to 10.
I don't have a question, but I have a comment.
Sure.
My son did his first interim last year, and he did not get his first or second, or maybe it was his third or fourth, and he was super bummed, and none of his friends were on it. And I was like, hey, you're going to have a great time. And he had a great time.
Good.
It was very impactful. And it was a learning experience for him to understand that you don't always get maybe what your first choice was, but to go into it with an open mind and an open heart, and you'll get something out of it. And he did.
That's awesome. Thanks for sharing that. I did. I asked a couple students to share their interim experiences at All School at our interim fair, and that's exactly what one of them talked about. Was I was really nervous about this trip. It wasn't my top choice. I didn't have any friends, and it was the best trip ever. And now I have new friends. I guess I'm talking too much. Huh? Anything else on your mind as we go into signups?
I didn't know that it's possible for them to change the return, so they don't necessarily have to come.
Yeah, we want the students to all come back together. I feel like that's still part of the reflective experience when you're returning, and part of on my interims, we still are reflecting the whole way home, talking about what it's going to be like and how are we different when we get back. But I understand that, if somebody's, flying out and they're already in Orlando and they're going on spring break at Disney World, they can do something different. Yeah.
I was going to follow up on that, because the Africa trip, that is a long way to go in 1 week. So is that going to extend?
So that's 12 days. Yeah.
And then when you get notified of the trip, do you also get that flight information so you can make other arrangements, or?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep, there's 2 parent emails that all the faculty are sending out on the same 2 different due dates that will go through all the details in terms of, like, this is the third party that we're working with, here's their phone number, here's their website, here's where we're staying. And so you'll have all that information before they leave if you ever need to get in touch.
I'm sorry, I'm still confused about this. So the plan would be for them to come through Denver and then head home to wherever home is? 'Cause they're off to spring break.
All the way back to
To
here. Yep. But that doesn't mean no one's going to end up flying out of Denver, you know, if they're coming through Denver on the way. It is possible. Parents can probably take their kids anytime. You know, we're never going to say no to leaving the students in the care of the parents.
But the preference is.
But the preference is to come back here. Yeah, of course.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's really I'm really am excited and happy to be helping in this way for the school, and it's going to be great.
Thanks so much.
Yeah. You're welcome.